The other day I was looking at the perks in Cyberpunk 2077 and I noticed there were a few perks specifically for grenades. So I thought, can you beat Cyberpunk 2077 by only using grenades? So that's what I did. I played Cyberpunk from start to finish using only grenades, and this is what happened in my playthrough. My rules for this playthrough are I can only use grenades to get kills, and if the game forces you to use a gun or any other means, that doesn't count. I can also use cyberware as long as it doesn't inflict damage. With that said, let's start with the playthrough. I decided to do it on easy because the point of this is to see if the game can be completed by using only grenades. Next, I went with Street Kid because I think it's the fastest. I've seen speedruns of this game and they always choose Corpo, so maybe Corpo is the fastest, I'm not sure. Next is character creation, and somehow I ended up creating Trinity, and that was not intentional. For attributes, I maxed out technical ability because that's where we get the grenade perks, and we can also get crafting perks. We're going to be crafting a lot of grenades. The game starts off with V looking through a mirror and fixing her broken nose that we got earlier from a fight. Then we go talk to Kirk the monkey and almost get squished by the hamburger man here. He basically tells us to go steal a car for him. It's an easy job, everything has been set up for us. We arrive at the parking lot and I see a car. I go ahead and hack it, easy peasy. Then Jackie comes and starts touching us very inappropriately, so the cops come to our rescue. Actually no, they came to kill us. And that is basically the intro for Street Kid. You just talk to a bunch of people and try to steal the car. The rescue is the first real mission of the game. We are now best friends with Jackie and we can start using our weapons. This is the first area in the game where you encounter enemies. At this spot, I didn't know what to do because I can't do takedowns and I don't have grenades. I tried to distract and walk past him and it didn't work. So I started looting in hopes of finding some grenades. And I did find a few in a container. At this point, I let Jackie do all the work while I looked for more grenades. I tried crafting grenades, but the game won't let you craft while in combat. So what did I do? I ran past the enemies and looted everything looking for grenades. And I only found one. Then the guy with the machine gun killed me. Don't worry, Jackie and I got him back. And this time, I did better grenade management. I looted the enemies Jackie killed and I found more grenades. But eventually, I ran out again. Now there is only one enemy and I have 0 grenades. This was the longest fight so far. I had no grenades. Jackie has the worst weapon accuracy. I looted the dead bodies and none of them had grenades. The only thing I could do was look around and hope to find a grenade somewhere. I just needed one more for this last enemy. I didn't find any grenades, but I did find 2 flashbangs, so I used them. What else could I do? And after using the second flashbang out of nowhere, I get a grenade in my inventory. It's like Cyberpunk magic, but it took me a while to realize that I had a grenade in my inventory. That was enough to kill the last enemy and save the girl in the tub. Now the rest of the mission is riding with Jackie. There is a car chase in the middle, but this car chase is time-based. As you can see here, I didn't kill any enemies. I did shoot at them, but I kept missing on purpose. Mostly because I was bored and I wanted this section to end. Once I got control of the character again, I went into my inventory and scrapped everything since we can't use it anyways, and we need materials for crafting more grenades. The rest of the prologue is slow and boring. We visit Victor to get upgrades, talk to Dex about our new gig, and that leads to the pickup, where we do some negotiations that go wrong. But nothing grenades can't take care of. Now we can start getting some grenade perks to increase damage. For this section, I started by sneaking around the enemies, and then we got caught. It was time to throw some grenades. I ended up just running away to the next area, found some more enemies, threw some more grenades. Oh yeah, and the game did freeze. So I pretty much had to redo that whole section again. The last part of the mission is a boss fight. I didn't want to deal with the boss fight. I also had a limited amount of grenades and I don't think I could take down the boss. So I sneaked my way past it. I had to be patient and I had to do a lot of hacking to distract the enemies. But I did get past this section without killing anyone, so I saved my grenades for the next section. We're still doing the prologue and most of the prologue is just storytelling and choosing dialogue options. There is no combat of any kind. The next time we see combat is during the mission The Heist. I did forget to mention that I'm only focusing on the main story and avoiding side missions and side quests as much as possible. And that is because we just want to finish the game and the game is already long as it is. But back at the heist, we need to escape to complete the mission. This mission is not hard at all. You can just run past most enemies to get to the next area. You may need to wait for Jackie, but he will eventually get to you. You can use grenades if you need it as well. There is no grenade shortage here. And for the last section, you can just run to the Delamain car. You don't need to kill the enemies. Once in the car, you will have a car chase sequence. You cannot craft grenades in this section, and this section is also not time-based. You have to kill the enemies before you get to the end, or you will automatically die. So I have to use the gun to kill the enemies. But like I said at the beginning, if the game forces you to use a gun, I'm not counting it. This is a scripted sequence. You can't avoid it. The next mission, you play as Johnny Silverhand. You start by using a machine gun. But once again, this game is forcing me to use a gun. I don't even have the options to use grenades. The other problem here is that Johnny doesn't use grenades at all. He only uses nukes. I think this counts as a game forcing me to play as Johnny and forcing me to use his gun. I don't have the option to use grenades. I don't even have the option to use a different gun. We return to play as V, and guess what? Another car chase scene, and we can't use grenades. The first thing I did was check if this was time-based, but no, you will die if you don't kill the enemies, at least on the first half. The second half does seem like it is time-based. Now, I'm going to skip a lot of sections that just have storytelling and dialogue options because, you know, those sections can definitely be done with grenades only. So after talking to a bunch of new characters and getting the window glitch, we end up on the mission Ghost Town. At this point, we have plenty of grenades. We can also craft a bunch of them if we need to. So just throw grenades and kill the enemies to progress. I did not help Pan Am clear out the camp because it's optional. I just wanted to beat the game. So we just went to the next mission. And we had another car chase, where my only option was to use the machine turret. I'm going to skip ahead because the rest is just throw a grenade, kill the enemy, and move on. Super simple, nothing tricky here. For the mission, Automatic Love, you can actually just enter through the back. There is one enemy there, but you can sneak past them and ride the elevator. And here I just ran to Woodman's office. The alarm did go off. Woodman locked himself in, but he eventually always opens the door. And for some reason, his guards never came for me when I was throwing grenades at him. Next, we need to talk to Fingers. You can get past the guards with a speech check. And that is all the combat for that mission. The next section is just talking with NPCs and watching a brain dance that takes us to the mission disaster piece. This area of the game has a lot of enemies. I tried to sneak past them first and I got caught. So I made a run for it and I forgot where I needed to go. These enemies are not very tough, so I made my way to the basement. Once again, I'm going to skip a big chunk of the game here because it is the same thing. Throw grenades, kill enemies, move on. Sometimes we sneak if we can ignore the enemies. So yeah, kill enemies, sneak, watch brain dances, get perks, get cyberware, craft more grenades, and repeat. The ending part of I Walk the Line involved a lot of sneaking. I also found this room that was helpful in getting past the enemies. At this point, I had to get ready for the Matilda Rose boss fight that actually ended up being pretty easy. You know, until she grabbed me through the wall. I have no idea how that happened. The rest of the boss fight was me running away from Matilda and the grenades wouldn't explode fast enough. Eventually, she only had 1 HP left and I really wanted to punch her, but I can only do damage with grenades. The next mission where we get into combat is Never Fade Away. This is another Johnny Silverhand flashback scene, and once again, I couldn't use grenades because Johnny only has one weapon. However, I did try to get past the area without killing anyone. I tried moving around so the AI would get closer and have Rogue kill them, and that was pretty much the process I followed. I got as close as possible letting Rogue kill all the enemies. I even tried running past all the enemies and getting to the end. That actually didn't work. All the enemies just went into the same room. So I ran back to the bar area. Remember, this is uneasy, so I can easily just run past the enemies. I basically just waited until all the enemies were dead. It turns out Rogue doesn't kill all the enemies. At some point, she will tell you to get into the elevator. So maybe this part of the game is time-based. You just gotta wait for Rogue to tell you about the elevator. The elevator led us outside, where I did the same thing. I waited for Rogue to kill all the enemies. I also tried to run past all the enemies, but the gate to the next area was closed. I even tried hopping over the gate. Eventually, they will kill all the enemies, and the car will break through the gate. This will start another car chase sequence. CDPR really likes those sequences. This sequence also seems to be time-based, so you can do this without shooting your gun. We arrive at the Arasaka Tower, where I keep doing the same thing, hiding and letting Rogue and the NPC do the killing. It is possible to do this without shooting your gun. You just need to wait a long time for all the enemies to die. And I mean a very long time. My next challenge was this gun turret. The problem here is the NPCs don't shoot the turret. I was hoping to do the whole mission without the need to use a weapon, but I had to punch it. Okay, moving on. There are 2 more turrets in the next room. This time, things were different. One of the NPCs randomly starts shooting the turret and destroys it. That was good, but I don't know why they don't shoot the second one. Once again, I had to hit it. That leads us to the last section of the mission, and the enemies here have a lot of health. So I just had to wait for the enemies to die. In some sections I had to move around because they would come after me. This section was probably the longest I had to wait. There was a small issue with this guy in the white suit. For some reason, he was not dying. I waited a long time and he wouldn't die. Started thinking maybe the player needs to give the last blow for the mission to end. So I said, okay, let's give him the last blow, but right as I was going for the last blow, he goes down. You can't do this mission without using weapons. You have to destroy the turrets yourself. The mission is done, but now we have to leave the Netrunner's lair. I didn't want to deal with the enemies, so I just ran past them. At the end, you will need to face Placide in a boss fight. This boss fight was easy because every time the grenades exploded, it would knock down Placide, so I just kept throwing grenades. So back to the same strategy of throwing grenades, killing enemies, leveling up, getting perks, getting new cyberware, and of course, hanging out with the locals. Maybe in this section I'll have a montage or something, because it's the same thing over and over. Play it safe. This mission is also possible with grenades only. You will need to use grenades to kill the snipers. If you don't get caught, you can sneak your way from sniper to sniper. I got caught, so I just ran from the enemies. Then I ran to this guy. Bye. The boss fight was kind of challenging because Oda moves really fast and he will teleport. You just need to be patient and keep throwing grenades. He also regenerates his health, but he will go down eventually. That is pretty much it for that mission. The next mission with combat, we meet with Hanako and get attacked. For this mission, I did the same thing I had been doing, sneaking and throwing grenades to kill enemies in my way. And that leads us to the point of no return. We sneak our way through the estate. Once inside, I started using grenades because there is a section where the enemies are not patrolling. We leave with Hanako, go to the meeting, we get attacked. Here I let the NPCs do most of the killing and just throw a few grenades to help them out. I continue the strategy until the end. In the Atom Smasher boss fight, I just spammed grenades. This boss fight is not too difficult since Takamura will constantly distract Smasher, letting you run away and recover health or do whatever you want. Some enemies and gun turrets will randomly spawn, just keep throwing grenades until Smasher goes down. And that is pretty much the end of the game. The rest is just cutscenes. There you have it. Can you beat Cyberpunk using only grenades? The answer is yes. If you don't count the scripted events where you are forced to use a gun and during the Johnny Silverhand missions, since Johnny can't use grenades. I gotta say, it was fun playing with grenades only. It is a build I recommend because it feels overpowered. One grenade will clear out a room of low to mid-level enemies. And who doesn't like big explosions? And don't forget, in this game you can craft grenades. So if you're running low, just craft more. Getting crafting materials is easy. If you're only using grenades, you can scrap and sell the guns for more materials. Crafting in this game is broken, so you will never run out of supplies. If you have the right perks, you can make an infinite supply of grenades. In a few weeks, Phantom Liberty will release, and that update will change a lot of things, including perks. So maybe in the future, we won't be able to make a grenade build. I don't know if the perks are getting nerfed or buffed. Maybe they are getting removed. The Phantom Liberty update will overhaul the whole perk system, and they actually changed how perks work. They also removed a couple of perks from each perk tree. I hope the grenade perks are still there, and I'll see you in the next video.